So where will every championship club be in 10 years from now? Let's take a look. Guys, welcome back to another video on the channel. Today we're going to be putting FIFA to the test and simulating 10 years into the future and seeing where every championship club ends up. I want to know your predictions in the comments down below right now. 10 years from now, if you had to call it, where do you realistically see your club being? I mean, in football terms, 10 years is a long time. So I think this one will throw up some interesting results. So I'm going to start out the career mode with Preston. I mean, does this count as the career mode returning onto the channel? I'm not so sure, but what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to try and change clubs for every season we simulate, as if I'm at one club for too long it might affect the results, because obviously that club then won't be signing players. But yeah, I'm very intrigued to see the outcome of this one, so I'll see you guys at the other side when we've simulated 10 years.
A few moments later.
Alright guys, so we have now simulated many seasons into the future. We're in May 2030. I'm very intrigued to see the results of this. So what we'll do is we'll go through all of the leagues, see where every championship club is currently playing their football, and then we'll have a bit of a deeper look into who's still playing for every championship club 10 years into the future. So I'm currently the manager of Port Vale. Let's first of all see if any championship clubs have ended up in League 2. I wouldn't expect them to, maybe one or two in here. So winning the league, we've got Burton Albion going up with Stevenage and Exeter. A couple of League 1 teams in here, you know, Oxford, Fleetwood battling it out in League 2 at the moment. I'm not seeing any. Okay, so Charlton 17th, obviously they had quite the fall off from battling it out in and around the top of League 1 recently in the Championship. And it's Bolton actually getting relegated to non-league, finishing 24th in League 2, but no Championship clubs as of yet. League 1 is where I would expect some Championship clubs to be. You know, usually you tend to get a few Championship clubs fluctuating between each league, so let's take a look into this one. Wow, so it's actually Nottingham Forest who go ahead and finish first in League 1, picking up 107 points. I mean, Forest fans won't be too happy that they're playing their football in League 1 10 years into the future, but at least they're getting promoted with 107 points. Millwall also finding themselves in League 1. They finish in the playoffs for this season, 5th in the league. Let's go down these teams one by one. Okay, so Luton also in League 1 at this point in time. That's quite interesting. Do we have any other Championship clubs who are currently playing? Okay, so Wycombe, 18th in League 1. That's quite the fall off from them obviously being in the Championship at the moment. Any other clubs in here? So Sunderland just avoiding relegation, and it's Accrington, Wigan, Salford and Southend going down. Okay, so a fair few Championship clubs have ended up in League 1. Let's actually take a look now though at the Championship. Who's going to be playing their football still in the Championship? So it's West Ham, oh my god, who absolutely smashed the point record tally of a Championship club with 112 points, beating Reading's record there by 6 points. Jesus, that's absolutely mental. Sheffield United going up in second place there, finishing on 93, just beating Stoke 2 promotion, who finish on 92. Barnsley still mixing it in and around the top 6, obviously. I'd imagine Barnsley to be quite strong on this, as they've got quite a young squad compared to everyone else, so obviously all of those players will have had the chance to thrive. Then got Blackburn and QPR also making up the top 6, which is quite interesting. Burnley missing out on the top 6 alongside Norwich. Go down these Championship clubs one by one. So we got Hull in 9th place. Okay, so they really re-established themselves as a Championship club, battling it out in and around the top half of the table. Huddersfield 10th place, Birmingham 11th, so they sort of managed to get their business together. Swansea 12th. Bournemouth 13th, that's quite the fall off. Obviously they're hoping to re-establish themselves as a Premier League club, but this simulation still has them mid-table in the Championship 10 years into the future. Coventry 14th, not a bad finish for them. Middlesbrough 15th, bit of a fall off. Reading 16th, bit of a fall off. Rotherham 17th, not bad, they've established themselves as a Championship club. Derby in 18th, still not quite where they probably want to be. Sheffield Wednesday 19th, so they do sort of manage to sort out their business. Cardiff 20th. Wimbledon 21st, very interesting. What is now dawning on me is that we're now going to get into the bottom 3 of the Championship. So either I'm going to see Preston getting relegated to League 1, because we've not seen them on this video yet, or they're going to be playing their football in the Premier League. I pray that we've managed to make it into the Premier League 10 years from now. Honestly, if in my lifetime Preston never make it to the Premier League, I'll be a little bit gutted. So at least give me this. 22nd we have Forest Green, 29 points they finish on, done well to make it into the Championship. If we see Preston next, I'm going to be fuming. It's not, so it's Ipswich. Spent the best half of, I suppose, like the last decade playing in the Championship up until they got themselves relegated. So they do get back into the league, but they do get relegated. Right, I'm nervous now because we're either going to see Preston in 24th in the Championship in this simulation, or we're going to be in the Premier League. I pray that we don't see Preston as the next club. I'm going to shut my eyes. I'm going to scroll down. When I open them, if I see Preston next, I'm going to be a little bit fuming. Of course we're getting relegated from the Championship. That is an absolutely dismal season, by the way. 3 wins all season. We pick up 23 points. I'd be absolutely livid. I'm intrigued to see who's playing at North End 10 years into the future if we only go on to pick up 23 points in the Championship. But let's finish it off by looking into the Premier League. Yeah, we already know the teams that will be in the Premier League, but I'm interested to see where they go ahead and finish. So let's scroll down until we get to the first Championship club. Okay, so Brentford do establish themselves as a Premier League club. I think that would be, you know, a few people's estimations. You know, generally they have been trending up over the last 10 years, so I wouldn't rule out them, you know, being in the Premier League and mixing it in and around this part of the table 10 years from now. Palace 17th. So Watford are back in the Premier League, but only 3 wins all season. They do get relegated. Leeds get relegated, finishing in 19th in the Premier League. And then the last club, Bristol City. I mean, hey, at least they made it to the Premier League. Only 16 points to show for it, but I mean, they are mixing it in and around some top teams there. But that was quite the interesting simulation. Let's go ahead now and look into some of the individual teams and see who's still playing for them. Right, the first club I'm most interested to look into is, of course, my club, Preston. We had a shambolic season in the Championship where we finished bottom, so I want to know who's still playing for us. So we got 31-year-old Tom Bayliss, who's probably still only made like 2 appearances for the club by the time he's 31, but he's still knocking around. Gil Diaz, interesting. Josh Earl, still playing for North End. Matt Hudson, so a lot of our youngsters coming through. Oh my God, we got 37, Daniel Johnson, a player for the history books. He's still pulling the strings for us. He's sort of moulded himself into the galley role by that point, I'm guessing. Ledson's still at the club, which is interesting. Emil Rees at 31, still knocking about. John Story at 32. I mean, how have we gone down from the Championship when we got a prime Ethan Walker, 27 years old, bagging in the goals for us, and we're getting relegated? What's going on? I'm interested to see who's at Forest. Obviously, they finished first in League One in this simulation. So they've got João Carvalho, who's still at the club in League One, 33 years old. Wow. Jenkinson at 38. Jesus. A few of their younger players coming through. So Brennan Johnson there. NB as well, it's an interesting one. You've got Ryan Yates as a 32-year-old and Nuno da Costa as a 39-year-old striker. Billy Mitchell's in his prime playing for Millwall, 29 years old. He's their maestro, 10 years into the future still. I'm happy that Pelly Rudder-Campanza is still at Luton Town. It's been a great story from him, how he's come through the leagues with Luton and he's still stuck by them, even at the age of 36 like he is there. Imagine if Akinfenwa was still at Wickham at like 48 years old or whatever he'd be in 2030. That would be some story. I'm imagining he's retired by now, which he has, but still a few familiar faces at Wickham. Who's playing for Bristol City in the Premier League? That's what I want to know as well. So they've still got 36 Daniel Bentley in goal for them. Tyree Bakinson being 31 years old. Who else have they got knocking around for them? Okay, so Hamno Masengo coming into his prime at 28 years old for Bristol City. Tyler Moore still there. Oh, they've gone ahead and signed Emre Moore. What a gem he was back in the day. Semenyo still there as well. Viner, they got Jan Valery. Joe Williams still at the club. With Brentford, you just always back their recruitment to be really good. They don't really have all too many familiar faces still at the club, but I'm sure their recruitment's been spot on. Janel's still there. And what I thought we'd do to finish off the video is basically look through some of the most promising and upcoming talents from Championship clubs at this point in time and see where they end up in 10 years time according to this simulation. So Todd Cantwell playing his football out in France. Max Aarons ends up playing for Celta Vigo, 83 rated 30-year-old. Michael Elise plays his football now for Marseille as an 84 rated player. Michael Elise, I'm sure, yeah, some big things coming for him after the season he's just had. Gustavo Hamer, one of the few players on this list who sticks it out with his club. I'd be surprised if he does stay this long, you know, 10 years at Coventry. Be surprised if there wasn't a huge move on the horizon for him, but you've got to respect the loyalty. Alex Myton ends up playing his football in the Bundesliga, quite similar to a lot of these players actually. So Ollie Skip's also in the Bundesliga. Emi Buendia gets moved to PSG. I mean, he looks good in that kit, Buendia, doesn't he? Omar Richards, also another player who's got a massive future ahead of him. He's playing his football for Juventus. Lou Sibley, another one who ends up in the Bundesliga. Brandon Bimo playing his football in the Serie A. De Silva, another one that ends up in the Bundesliga. Tyrese Campbell playing his football for Atalanta in Italy. Tarish Dolan, 83 rated winger, playing his football for Olympic Lyon. Ben Cabango, another one that ends up in the Bundesliga. Harry Suter ends up playing his football in France. Daryl Dike ends up in the Bundesliga. He's going to be an absolute monster of a player over the next few years after how good he's been already for Barnsley. Yeah, he's got a massive future ahead of him. Ismail Assar, another one that does stick it out with his original club, 86 rated, still at Watford. João Pedro now leading the line for Bayern Munich. Lewis O'Brien, another one who sticks it out with his club. He's still at Huddersfield 10 years down the line. And then we got David Brooks, who's also playing his football now for Olympic Lyon. So I thought this one was an interesting sort of video concept to have a bit of a look into 10 years into the future and what it could potentially look like. But guys, there we have it. That will now wrap it up for today's video. So thank you very much for watching. This one was just for a little bit of fun, but I enjoyed doing it nonetheless. So if you guys did go on to enjoy, make sure to leave a like. Do stick around and subscribe for a bit of regular Championship content. Tomorrow I will have my score predictions coming out, obviously a day earlier than normal, as we got the full fixture list coming out on Friday this week. It's going to be a weekend of, it's going to be jam-packed basically. Loads of football coming our way. We got the full fixture list on Monday as well. It's going to be great. Check out the Patreon, link to that is down below. Massive thank you to everyone that has signed up to that so far. It's really helping out the channel. But without any further ado, thanks for watching guys, and I'll see you all in the next one.